Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Bubbles, the podcast about comics, anime, pop culture, and all that entails. I, of course, am Terry Williams, and the dashing gentleman next to me is Mr. Ben Dunn. How are you, sir?
Doing great. I'm good to be here, Terry.
Absolutely. It's one of those, looks like it's going to be a rainy weekend here in the Dallas area, so I plan on doing some comic bagging, boarding, pricing, and reading.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah. Maybe catch up on some movie trailers, movies, see what's coming out, which one of the big talks right now is Deadpool and Wolverine, I guess, or Deadpool 3. I'm not sure the official title.
I think that is the official title, Deadpool Wolverine, now Deadpool 3, which would be the obvious choice.
Right, but I kind of like Deadpool Wolverine better. It just sounds better. And
I like the idea that they were trying to do sort of like a team-up movie.
Yeah.
Like the old Marvel team-ups, where you had two characters and they would come together to, have an adventure together.
Yeah, one of my all-time favorite reads. I love those books because I knew I was getting Spider-Man 90% of the time, but you were wondering, okay, who's his partner going to be this week? Who's he teaming up with? And the one that stands out to me with that, just off the top of my head, was the Not Ready for Primetime Players with the Saturday Night Live cast. I thought that was great. Spider-Man and the Not Ready for Primetime Players. A really cool book. I don't know why I like that so much, but I just thought, oh, cool.
Yeah, the Spider-Man's teamed up with a lot of interesting characters, so it should be interesting. Now, I'm not sure, but I think this might be the first superhero movie with two superhero names sharing the same marquee.
I think you're right. There's coming.
I can't think of any superhero movie that.
No, we have the team movies, but not just two solo characters joining up and being a buddy movie.
Batman and Robin?
I guess that technically would count.
Yeah.
And then for TV shows, there was Falcon and
Winter Soldier. Yeah.
But we don't talk about that.
And we don't talk about DC here, so that didn't happen.
Batman and Robin really doesn't count because, Batman is with Robin,
Right, yeah.
Deadpool and Wolverine, I don't think they really teamed up together at any, or they're not known to be together.
Right, which this is going to be, which is driving that Wolverine number 88, their first meeting, is driving those sales crazy right now.
Yeah.
It's skyrocketed back since the announcement of this movie. It's just been growing and growing and growing, and it's just going to continue to grow until the movie hits.
Well, did you ever read Wolverine 88?
I did.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that issue.
It was honestly, for me, very forgetful.
Oh, really?
It really was. It was one of those issues that, okay, that was a cool issue, but it's not one of those that sticks in my head like the Claremont X-Men run or something like that. It's just one of those, it was a cool read, but then I forgot about it until...
Now, did this issue actually come out before the Deadpool movies?
Oh, yes. This is from early, mid-90s.
Okay, so we know that Wolverine appeared in Hulk 180.
Yep.
And we know that Deadpool appeared in X4...
New Mutants 98.
New Mutants 98, that is correct. So, in all that time, they never met each other until that issue.
That was the first meeting, which was really cool.
Very interesting.
The people had kind of been clamoring for it, but when it came out until really 2020, 21, 22 even, it was just one of those books that was in the Wolverine run that no one really cared about. It's okay, it's a cool book in that run, but it had no value. Really.
Well, in fact, he didn't even appear on the cover.
No.
Yeah, you would think that if
that cover was
going to fight Wolverine, that would have been the cover.
Yeah, now it's an iconic blue cover with the swords, and it's Deadpool, but at the time it was all shadowy and you didn't know who it was.
Yeah. I don't know whoever picked that cover. Probably wasn't the smartest decision, but
you're right. And now with the movie, the trailer, which I just happened to watch today, I hadn't seen it before.
Well, there was a teaser before this one,
right? Yeah, a teaser, but the full trailer actually.
I think the teaser one focused on the TVA, more than anything else.
And this is a Red Band trailer, kind of, or the only trailer, but it's more of a Red Band because there is profanity in it. So if you haven't seen it and you want to go watch it, just letting you know, if you watch it with the children, there is some profanity, so just be aware.
Some four-letter words.
This is going to be an R-rated movie, so. But I definitely recommend going and checking it out. It looks really interesting to me. The fight scenes look good. Their dialogue is great, I think. But Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. Always has those one-liners that I just love.
Mm-hmm,
I mean, he is the when and I'm big for casting and people belonging. He definitely belonged as Deadpool to me.
Well, yes, he definitely is fit for that role, for sure. It's like, the history behind that is that they actually did a proof of concept movie trailer just to show that they could do it. And I guess it convinced the studio to finance a Deadpool movie. Because, before then, Deadpool was sort of popular, but he wasn't like, upper echelon,
right?
Super, popular Marvel character.
Yeah, he's one of those. His first appearance, and I understand why it's valuable because he has this huge following.
But the thing about '98 is that at that time, the print run on that book was huge because when Rob Liefeld took over X-Force, the sales of that skyrocketed. So there's a huge print run of that particular book.
Yeah, New Mutants 98 is one of those that's out there. You see it a lot. Yeah. You just don't see it in high grade, and you don't see the newsstand as much.
Unlike Hulk 180, which is very difficult to
find. But as far as the trailer goes, I know that and watching it, there are a lot of small cameos in it that I didn't realize were in it. Like you see a glimpse of Pyro, you see a glimpse of
Pyro from the X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
the one that was in X-Men 2 or 3.
Oh, okay.
With the lighter. Yeah. I can't think of the young man that played him.
I keep thinking of the X-Men Pyro that John Byrne drew.
Right, yeah, which is supposed to be the character, but the X-Men, the MCU, not the MCU, the Fox universe X-Men character. And also the character from gosh almighty.
There was a lot of things in there, but I didn't recognize most of it. I recognized Wolverine, of course, in his yellow costume.
Yep.
And I recognized Deadpool, of course. But in what little the TV was in that new trailer was very sparse.
Yeah.
They actually downplayed that very much. Important. They played up the dynamic between Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah. Guys like me notice all those little, like Negasonic Teenage Warhead, Nuclear Warhead, or whatever her name is in it. I saw a cameo of her. Deadpool Dog is in it. So there's some really cool little
and
asides.
Supposedly there's this big Hank Pym skeleton, that was in the trailer.
Giant Man,
For Giant Man, and then see what else. Oh, and there was a car which supposedly is important, but I don't recognize that from any.
Yeah, I have
Marvel
to look
book.
at that. I haven't. I'll have to check on that. I haven't noticed that. But overall, I'm thinking this could be. What do you think this is going to do, box office wise? Is this going to be one? What do you think it's going to do box office wise? And two, do you think it's going to turn the MCU around again?
Well, my personal feeling is that a lot of people just watch it out of curiosity. They've then been somewhat disappointed by the Marvel offerings as of late. So this might be the right movie at the right time to turn things around, depending on the story. I don't know anything about the story other than just Deadpool meets Wolverine.
Right.
You told me that this may not even be the Wolverine from the original Fox versions of the X-Men.
Right.
It's just a different Wolverine.
Yeah, from the rumors, there's basically different universe of Wolverines. One of the rumors is Henry Cavill has signed on to be a Wolverine from one of the universes. I don't know if he's going to be the one from the 616 moving forward. I don't know if it's going to be the Hugh Jackman if he dies, if he's the actual one. And then, again, it's going to be where apparently Laura X-23 is going to be in it. So there's all these iterations that they could go.
Is Patrick Stewart going to be in it?
Rumor is he is, but I'm not sure. I'm hoping because that would be great. There's so many they could bring into this. Even I've heard rumors of Dazzler being Taylor Swift making her debut.
Oh, that would be interesting.
I hope not, but we'll see. Then again, nothing against T Swift. I just don't know how she is as an actress. So,
well, Lady Gaga's in Joker.
Yeah, but Gaga's great.
You think she's a good actress?
Gaga is Gaga. That's
you don't think
anything that woman does
Taylor
is
Swift's
amazing
not
to
as
me.
good an actress.
Anything Gaga does is great to me. And again, but I know there's millions of people that are screaming right now talking about Terry, you're an idiot because T Swift is it. I understand. I get it. I'll take that criticism. She's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah, just not my cup of tea. Right? Exactly.
I am unabashed Lady Gaga fan as well.
Yeah. See, Gaga. Man, when I saw Gaga in that role, I was like, oh.
It works.
I love this. I love this.
Yeah. I think I was not as big a lover of Joker 1 as the populace, but it also kind of went a little too mainstream for me, and I kind of missed the mark, I think, too many people. But this one, they're they're really trying something new. This musical idea for this is just fascinating, and I love that this is the first time a superhero genre movie in a long time is going to jump to a different genre other than just action adventure.
Yep.
And I love that. I love that they're taking a risk with this property. I think it's a great idea.
But will Batman be in it?
I think. Well, he's technically still very young. I think.
Yeah.
In their universe, because whenever in Joker 1 when he met him, he was like
12 years old.
Yeah,
or
he's
something
10
like
or
that.
12 years
Yeah,
old.
so maybe we'll get a young Batman. Who
Maybe
knows?
we get a young Batman.
Yeah.
Well, of course, we don't know how much time has actually passed. When
Right.
he was
It
in
could
jail,
be a couple of years.
It could
Who
be 10
knows? Yeah.
years. You know,
That is true.
If he met Bruce Wayne was like 12 or 13 years
Yeah.
old, 10 years, he could be 23.
23, yeah. He's a grown
24.
man.
He's
Yeah.
a grown man, exactly.
Yeah, but okay, enough DC talk. back to the big boys, Marvel.
Well, I don't know if I think it could come really close. I mean, the thing working against is its R rating. That's
Yep.
probably the only thing I know for a fact that it's may work against it. However, if the story is good, you know, and it's not boring, it's a really fun, over the top Marvel action movie, I think it could very well broach the $1 billion mark. Maybe not easily, because I don't know how well it'll do overseas, and that's a very, important. But if it has enough domestic customers, I could see that very easy, especially if people rewatch it over and over again.
Yeah. See, for me, I think it is going to be. For me, I think the R rating is a good thing. And I know they're going to lose some of the younger viewers because parents just don't want their kids hearing the profanity or seeing the violence, because apparently it's both. There's cussing and violence, which for me makes it good and I understand not wanting your kids to see it. But I think a lot of people like me will go and see it. If it's really good and the story's good, I'll go watch it twice.
Well, you bring up a good point. I always thought that the R rating was too broad. I think that there should be an R rating for violence, and for language, and for nudity and, sex and things like that. And people, when you go to a movie, when you go see an R-rated movie nowadays, you don't know what exactly is in it.
Right.
You can expect a certain amount of this, that, or the other, but then, whoa, there's like full frontal nudity.
Yeah,
in
it
front
could
of
be
you.
boobs, it could be cussing, it could be violence.
Right. And then
you don't
a
know
lot of
why
those
it's
things,
R-rated.
Parents may just like, that's not so bad,
Right. Because for me, I have no issue with my grandkids now seeing something that's a bit violent, even hearing some profanity, because I'm just meant of the impression they hear it in the world every day anyway. So it's kind of one of those things. Yeah, I want to shield them as much as possible, but it becomes one of those things where you just can't, and where you draw that line. And everybody is different. But I also think that this is going to be, I think the Marvel fans like me that have been clamoring for a good movie to go see or a good series to watch outside of X-Men 97 that actually is pretty good. But seeing something like this coming to the screen, I'm chomping at the bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that hard to please Marvel fans. I mean, the thing of it is that you do right with the source material, they're going to support it.
Yep.
It's only when you betray them, with the source material that they rebel against it.
I'm really hoping they use this as to me, it should be used, which is a reboot or jumpstart for the MCU. Because you can use this as a jumping on point for the mutants. You can use it as a jumping on point for whatever they wanted to do
Fantastic
Four, whatever they wanted to do with the timeline, including Kang, that now they've changed that. But there's still the variants and all that are in.
Yeah, you see,
Doctor Strange apparently is going to be in this.
I think that was a detriment. They're playing too much on the multiverse angle of it, and it needs to go away.
Yeah,
just simply needs to go away.
And this could be a way they tie it up and it goes away, and they come out of this with one universe.
Yes.
Which would be great too.
Back to one universe.
Which would be great, but they've introduced now the mutants are back, and they've introduced all these characters. It could be a point where
they're the same mutants,
right? And even if they're not, if heaven forbid they recast, Professor Xavier, and it's not McAvoy or Patrick Stewart, and they go a different way.
I mean, I don't even know what's in the X-Men nowadays. I mean, who's even running the X-Men now?
Oh, in comics?
Yeah.
Oh, I have no clue anymore.
I have no clue.
haven't read an X-Men book in forever. It's jumped so much, and now I'm just like,
I don't even know who the roster is on the X-Men.
The last I read of the X-Men was House of X and Powers of X. I only read that because my buddy shout out to JB if he's out there listening, watching, got me to read it because I bought them, but I never read them because I'm like, it's just, man, he's like, no, you've got to read it. You've got to read it. So I did, and it actually was a good story. It just gets so convoluted. They have gone from this story that I knew front, back, and sideways to this convoluted, I don't know who's on the roster. I don't know who's the leader. One's Storm is a leader of this team. Cyclops is a leader of this team. Jubilee's a leader. Wolverine's a leader. It's like I don't know. Now they have their whole Krakoa, Genosha. It's like I don't know. And I don't claim to know any longer.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is that when you do too many tangents, people lose track of which one am I supposed to follow.
Yep.
Yep.
But that's a great segue into maybe X-Men 97, which I've actually really enjoyed. The only complaint I have about X-Men 97 is it seems that what's the term I want to use? It doesn't follow
doesn't follow a straight narrative, or
it's like because like and I won't give away any spoilers, but episode 4 was a great episode. And then with this great climactic ending. Then episode 5 started, and pretty much the whole episode didn't talk about this big climactic ending of 4 until the very end of the episode. And I just didn't understand why the segues, the going into other things. It's like they just throw a standalone episode up and then tie it in at the end. And I'm just think it could run a lot more smoothly if they just...
Well, my understanding is, and I could be wrong on this, is that they're just adapting certain story beats from the actual original X-Men series.
Yeah, they've tied in a few stories at once from the series, from the comic lore to the lore on screen.
Well, honestly, I'm lost. I mean, I watched the first couple. The first one was okay. And the second one was not bad. Third one, one with Jubilee and
Sunspot. That was horrible. So-so. That was the worst episode they've had by far. But episode 4 was a big, big rebound for them, and I loved episode 4.
That was the Goblin Queen episode, right? Correct?
Yes, she was in it. It was the whole Genosha thing. Right. There's a massive death.
Right.
There's all kinds of stuff. And now this newest episode that I just got to watch last night, there's another. They found someone that they didn't expect to find, this kind of stuff. So it's been really good, I thought.
Well, honestly, I mean, I stopped reading the X-Men after the Paul Smith run, so I'm not up to date on the 97 version of the X-Men. I was familiar with it. I know Jim Lee took over. He made the book massively popular.
Yes.
And I think that's what they're trying to do is cover the Jim Lee era, of the X-Men, which was the most popular run of the X-Men. So I'm not familiar with any of the storylines, and I don't know who the Goblin Queen is. I don't know I know who knows Sunspot because he's from the New Mutants, but Jubilee I don't know anything about, so a lot of these characters are new to me.
Yep.
And Rogue, is an old character.
Yep.
A lot of people don't think that she's brand new.
Yeah, she's been around a while.
And she started off as a villain.
Yep. Yeah, she's been around quite a while, and she was a villain. I mean, in fact, her power set, the powers she displays now are because she basically...
Yeah, they retconned her origin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because originally she was just a mutant with absorbing powers.
Yeah, and she absorbed Carol Danvers' powers and had basically the powers of Captain Marvel.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And her memories, a lot of her memories, and that was the thing that she struggled with because she didn't know which memories were hers and which was...
Did they retcon her origin in the movies or in the comic? I'm familiar with the movies.
Movies, they've retconned. Comics, up until I stopped reading, they hadn't, but by now, who knows?
Yeah, if any of you out there know.
Let us know. Let me know. Let the X-Men expert know because my last 10, 15 years of X-Men lore is
very spotty at
anything that happened after number 500, I'm spotty on at best. So, yeah.
Yeah, like
I have my cutoff point.
I stopped reading it around when Paul Smith ended his run. That was about it. But but it was a good run, like I said, I'm not sure whether or not they retcon her or Rogue's origin in the movies or in the comic.
Right.
If they did in the movies, then she's definitely a different character.
So is there any movies that, since it's going to be a rainy, yucky weekend apparently here, are there any movies you're thinking of watching that you haven't gotten to watch yet?
Movies are pretty sparse these days.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't even know what's coming up. The last movie I saw was Godzilla X Kong, which I thought was okay and pretty good.
I still need to go see that, which I'm thinking of doing this weekend, and I also want to see Abigail that came out. Josh, have you seen Abigail yet?
I have not seen Abigail yet.
Abigail,
I might have to check that out.
Yeah, and it's man, is Monkey Man out yet?
Yeah, Monkey Man's out. My wife
Monkey
saw
Man
it.
just came out last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My wife saw it. She thought it was great.
I've heard good things. I've heard good things.
Ooh, so I could go to a movie Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. Get caught up.
True. I'm pretty excited. There was I heard some extra details on some animated news.
Do tell.
Well, first off, we're about to enter a golden age or golden season of anime. We have a lot of big releases starting in about a week. Demon Slayer starting back up.
Oh yeah,
with the pretty anticipated season.
Yep.
My Hero Academia last season, final season. That's a big fan base right there.
Yeah, it is a big fan base. It's one that I don't know anything about really. Though.
It's you know what? There's a couple. The fan base can kind of turn some people off, but the actual story's pretty good.
Okay.
So I would give it a try. It's not Naruto, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, that's the one interesting thing about manga and anime is that there's always a planned ending.
Yeah.
You know, except for Dragon Ball.
Yeah,
No, sometimes
Dragon Ball goes forever.
As of lately, Ben, there's been a lot that don't have planned endings, and I think that's been the problem with quite a few of them.
Yeah, because I've been watching Ninja Kamui. Have you been watching that, Josh?
I watched a little bit. I haven't watched all of it yet.
What do you think so far?
I thought it's good. It's good. You know, it's solid.
It's not great. It's solid though, but it's a good solid watch. It's like if there's nothing on, it's a good something to turn over and watch.
That's another one that's going on. Everyone's really hyped up about this new anime, Kaiju number 8, and that's been.
How have I not heard of that?
It's on Crunchyroll, so you have to. So I gave you both of my accounts.
Yeah.
I gave you both my accounts, so you guys have no excuse now. But that's a really good one. I watched the first 2 episodes came out, and it's really good.
Kaiju number 8. So Kaiju, I'm thinking
Kaiju, big monsters.
Yeah,
it's like big monsters that are.
So what's the hook on this one?
The hook on this is big monsters popping up all over Japan. There's like an extermination force that goes everywhere to kill them all, right? But when they kill them, the bodies are just in the middle of the city. So they're cleanup crews, and the main character is a part of this cleanup crew. He wanted to be a part of the extermination thing and
reminds me a little Pacific Rim.
But here's where it stops: is he get a little small kaiju gets inside of him, and he can now become a kaiju.
So
and it's really good.
Interesting.
Yeah, he's like a humanoid kind of kaiju, really small, but like he has a lot of power.
I'm interested because you've won me over.
Seems like a monster version of Ultraman, actually.
Yeah, a little bit. That's actually a good way of describing it. Monster versus Ultraman. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I now trust Josh completely since his recommendation of Vinland Saga.
Oh yeah, Josh is definitely
which I binged like a nut job for a week or two until I finished it. Season 2 was amazing.
Season 2 is one of the greatest.
I literally had so many emotional ups and downs watching that.
Yeah.
I was like so invested in that.
And there is only like 3 episodes of action in that 24 episodes.
Yeah, I cared so much about Thorfinn. So much. It was crazy. It was insane.
So there's a lot of great anime coming out that I think everyone. Haiku, for my sports anime guys out there. Haiku is have a movie coming out. So there's a bunch of really big anime coming out.
Awesome. So there's some stuff to watch. So I can go. So I don't even have to leave the house this weekend because I saw that I can stream Monkey Man. I think.
Yes.
So I can stream Monkey Man. I can watch Kaiju number 8.
Kaiju number 8.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, and then another one. There's a Chinese manga that came out, and it's finally being released to audiences outside of China. This animation is incredible.
Really?
It's called Dragon Raja. It's a new anime that Crunchyroll is putting out. It is like phenomenal animation. It looks incredible.
Looks like Japan is getting a little competition.
Yeah, Korea and China are coming out with some really interesting stuff. Korea with Solo Leveling, which was a huge hit, and you guys should both watch.
Well, that begs the question: do you think Americans can catch up to that?
No.
I think we have our own thing. I think the closest we'll ever get is probably the Avatar series. That's about as close as it gets.
Yeah.
We have our own animation. I just don't think it's anime. You know?
Right. It's animation. It's not anime. There's a distinct difference to me.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that for some reason Hollywood hasn't glommed on to in quote unquote anime?
Well,
because
there's a difference in production. I think straight up, there's a difference in how we make it. I mean, you can see the leader in animation in America, regardless of what you think about them, is Disney. And Disney has, as Ben and we have talked about in other shows, where with the Star Wars movies, they'll just give you a budget of $300 million and you don't really know what you're doing, but you show up and you spend that $300 million. Whereas we see a Dune 2, they very meticulously budget out their money and everything that is spent on screen. I feel like that is kind of the same way of describing the animation for Japan. I mean, not to mention there's a lot of animators in Japan are overworked. That's a problem that we have been seeing.
Well, I mean, you would think though that with the popularity of anime, Disney would climb onto that. I know that recently they are airing Robotech again on their Disney Plus.
I think that Japan just has such a unique style, and the other part is another thing that we've discussed on the show. Disney very meticulously crafts their message that they're sending out, and that kind of inflicts a lot of damage on storytellers being able to tell the story they want to. In Japan, they're willing to say the stories that they want to.
I mean, originally Disney was one of the first distributors of Studio Ghibli films.
Yes, and that's the one kind of like where the crossover does happen. But I would even say they don't kind of touch Miyazaki's stuff. They have given him free reign to do whatever project he wants.
Yes, but it also shows that he's able to win Oscars for his movies, and you would think that Disney would say, hey, there's something going on here, why can't we duplicate this?
But do you think that Disney gives him free reign because
Miyazaki, I'm sure, doesn't give a rat's behind what Disney thinks.
Exactly. But also Miyazaki is able to do whatever because he came out with movies like Spirited Away first, and then Disney latched on, and then it became a little bit more mainstream. And then they were like, we can't really touch this guy because he's already, he's set in the industry.
I think this is a hot sports opinion, in my opinion. It's my opinion.
Hot sports
opinion. I just think that the U.S. is just falling behind.
It is.
Like if you look at they're not only anime, but as far as movies, there are some really, really, really well done, really good foreign movies that are being made. Their entertainment is becoming better. I honestly like, and just for example, one of them was Godzilla.
Yeah,
was amazing. Godzilla minus one. Minus one was amazing.
Yeah. First Oscar.
Yeah, and it was low budget, but you can tell that they cared about the source material.
The budget was probably lower than most catering budgets.
Yeah, and I think that's what they're seeing in what we're seeing is just they care about the product and it shows on film.
I agree.
Whereas here, we just put something out hoping it will make money. We own Disney, for instance, owns this property. We'll just put out something of Star Wars, and it's Star Wars, so people are going to buy it. We don't care.
Well,
they care.
That's not a fair comparison because, the thing about film industry in other countries is that they're organized differently. Most of them don't have unions. Okay, first of all. Second of all, salaries of actors and actresses are not astronomical levels. They're just they're employees like anybody else.
Right.
And the thing about it is that they're catering to their home market, so they have to keep budgets low because their market won't sustain a huge budget of film.
So I would agree with you, Ben, on the unions and all that. But that's something that's very, I think, more towards the Asian market because Bollywood is very, very like. I would argue that the action films that come out of Bollywood are so much better.
Exactly.
Last year, my best action film was RRR, and that it wasn't
Yes.
close.
No.
RRR on Netflix was like, I had so much fun watching that
Yeah.
movie. Yeah, can a man catch a motorcycle with his bare hands? Sure, let's go.
Let's do it. Yeah.
It was great.
Well, ironically enough, I had a discussion with a friend of mine who's a big Bollywood fan, and I told him, you know what Bollywood is now is what Hong Kong cinema was in the 80s.
Yes, that's
Okay.
what I was about
Yeah.
to
In
say.
Hong Kong
Yeah.
cinema, they were just crazy, over the top, just balls to the wall kind of movie making. And this is what Bollywood is doing now. They're making the kind of action films that Hong Kong cinema used to make in the 80s and the early 90s before
Absolutely.
the communists took over. So they're making up for a lot of lost time by doing these things but it has a very unique Indian spin on it.
I would agree.
Because they don't have the martial arts history
Right.
that Hong Kong has.
Right.
So they're creating their own
Mm-hmm.
form of martial arts or action,
Yep.
thing, which works for them very
But,
well.
but I think going back to Terry's point, I think that's what Terry's trying to say is where with America, I think that we have really become, especially on the higher end of movies, we've become we've becoming a numbers chasing industry.
I think we're just over reliant on CGI.
we're over reliant on CGI.
We've decided that we can do anything with CGI. The trouble is that it doesn't get you to think about things.
Yeah.
How can we pull this off?
Yeah.
Without, with CGI, they say, we'll just fix it in post.
But I mean, even going deeper than that, I think just the storytelling aspect, the screenwriting aspect is look at Marvel movies and DC movies. Is it crazy that this is the Joker faux de deux is going to be the first ever non-action superhero movie ever? We could have had a romance movie. We could have had we all talk
A
about
comedy.
We could have a straight up comedy. We could have had Batman. As much as we like to say the first Batman by Matt Reeves, the most recent one with Robert Pattinson, was a detective movie. It was still an action.
Well,
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
could have even done
We've done
musicals.
comedy superhero movies. The first Batman '66 is maybe a comedy.
But I'm talking modern.
Yeah,
like
modern.
2000
Yeah.
to now.
Yeah,
like
modern,
I'm saying like not recent. Like I'm
Because-
trying to show where the industry is split.
Yeah.
From us
From
to
now
the rest
to
of the world.
now to
you know?
the and it's just looking at it just from
Deadpool 1 could be considered a comedy.
Yes, but it was also heavily action
Yeah.
adventure.
From
Yes, that is true.
Yeah, and again, maybe it's just me, but I find movies the same way I find myself with the comic world now is my comic reading right now current is all indie books.
I agree.
I found myself over the last year to 6 months leaning more into foreign film than American film. And I can't say other than I like it better. It seems to be more well done.
I agree.
It's just, and I cannot say what the difference is. It just seems like they get it and we don't.
Well, I think it's also less is more.
Maybe.
Like I said, it's a lot of foreign companies, they don't have budgets anywhere near a typical Hollywood production.
Right.
Okay, so they have to think about everything they do. How can we economize every single shot? How can we pull this off convincingly with just one take? Because every time you do a new take, it costs you money, and that's something a lot of small independent and foreign companies can't do. They can't do constant reshoots. They can't do constant fix it in post because CGI is very expensive.
Yep.
That may change with AI. You never know.
Yeah.
And because if AI becomes prevalent and cheap, a lot of foreign companies are going to start using it.
Yeah.
And see, that's where I think.
But I'm also like with Josh though with the writing. I don't think the writing's there.
I think look at
well, yeah,
you know,
the foundation has to be the writing.
of course, and look at and I know I've mentioned this before. I have my problems with the Oscars, but look at the Oscar nominees of like this year, last year. Like we've had American movies, we've had Top Gun as a best picture. We had Top Gun and Avatar as best picture nominees. I'm sorry, but absolutely effing not. No, those are not best picture nominees. This year, the past year, as much as everyone loves Oppenheimer and everyone loved Barbie, there were incredible movies made. Past Lives, the Korean film by Greta Song, was an incredible movie about immigrants and leaving their past lives. It was an incredible movie. The movie from, I think it was Sweden, Anatomy of a Body with Sandra Hüller. That was an incredible movie. These are movies that just are not being made right now in America. They're just not. And the classic dramas that we do say are those movies, I mean, like, those ones are Bradley Cooper's Maestro, and that movie was awful.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And, like, those are the kind of that's the difference right now. And I've said it for a long time. Most of the great filmmakers right now are of foreign land born. They're not from America. I mean, Guillermo del Toro, Alexander Inarritu, they're both from Mexico. The director of Parasite, he's from South Korea. Most of the directors that are from here also just straight up copy a lot of their styles from European or foreign, lands. So,
well, I mean, yes, I agree with you. The thing about big studios is that they have this mentality that if we spend big, we're going to get big. We're going to have big returns. Not realizing it's not about how much money you spend, it's about how well you do your story narrative.
Yeah.
It's proven time and time again that small budgeted films can do very well if you have the right story.
Yep. There's been some, and I don't know where it lies. I don't know where it's going to go, but there are just, if you are one of those who just snub your nose at foreign works, give it a try. I think you'll be really, really surprised by some of them because there's some really good things being done.
Especially on streaming. There's a ton of foreign films.
All my favorite directors are not American.
Yeah, and that's one we haven't mentioned. I'm glad you brought that up, Josh. Is RRR was amazing.
Yeah.
It really was.
Can you imagine him doing a Marvel movie?
Oh, I could. That would be great. Yeah. Let him do Doom.
But even then, like,
he should have done Shang-Chi. That's what he should have done.
He should have.
Yes.
I mean, but even then, like, how much studio interference is he going to have? You know what I mean? Like, Chloe.
You have to leave him alone.
Oh, I mean, look what happened to Immortals. Chloe Zhao came off winning Best Picture for her movie. I forget what it's called.
Yeah.
But she just won Best Picture and Best Director the year before, and then went to Immortals and looked like a very average.
I would like someone. I would like the studios like Marvel or Disney to give us the backstory or the history, the lore of, say, Eternals or Werewolf by Night or whatever franchise you want to give to different writers and say, here, write something based on this.
Well,
and let them, don't correct them, see which one is the best and go with it and see where that leads, because that could be amazing.
Well, the problem is there are no more training grounds. It used to be when we have network television, a lot of directors, a lot of writers got their teeth through writing TV shows. They wrote TV shows, they wrote very small budgeted things, and then as they learned more of the craft, they got better and better. I mean, Steven Spielberg, his first thing was a TV movie. Okay, and he did an episode of Night Gallery. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
So the training grounds are no longer there.
Yeah.
Okay, big studios are not willing to invest in developing the next generation of filmmakers. In comics, same thing. It used to be you could go to a convention, you could bring a portfolio, an editor from Marvel or DC would look at your stuff and hire you based on your talent.
Yep.
Okay, they don't do that anymore. Now they go looking for you. You don't come to them. It used to be you went to them.
Right.
Now they go to you. They go hire people they think they're influencers or, now they have the ability to hire anybody from anywhere in the world.
Yep.
They just type in, they just hire them. So most of the people who are gaining ground is in the independent market because that's still the training ground for new talent.
Maybe that's why we're seeing so many independent, really good films. It's because that's where they're getting their training.
Right.
Yes, but also the world of streaming has made it incredibly difficult for indie films to get off the road.
It has. And I think that's where...
Well, it's a double-edged sword. I think that if streaming is not like network television. They are constantly in need of content in order to, in order to prevent churn. So they need new material all the time. So they're always looking for something, and they can get it cheap and just put it on there. Then maybe someone will discover it through just zipping through all the different titles. Because I go on Tubi, and 90% of the movies I've never even heard of. Okay, most of them are hard titles or some weird, strange, movie title. But every once in a while, I'll pick one up and say, "Oh, this looks interesting," and I'll watch it. It's wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
You know? So
okay. Well, this is one of those that we can definitely, this topic I want to approach more in maybe an episode just about things like this, where the media market is today, because there's a lot of interesting things that are happening and going on, and I enjoy. Obviously, we all enjoy our movies, so it's one of those things that we like to talk about and get into. But again, I guess our time is up. It's been 30 minutes or so I will say goodbye. Thank you guys for coming in and joining us again for another episode of Beyond the Bubbles. We appreciate you joining us. We appreciate you watching. We appreciate you listening. You can find us on YouTube, of course, if you want to see our lovely faces, or you can, if you don't want to, which I don't blame you, you can go to Spotify, iTunes, all those things, and listen to us. At least listen. Let us know what you think. If you have feedback, if you want to call me an idiot for my Taylor Swift comments, please feel free. I take them. But
I would watch a Dazzler Taylor Swift.
Margot Robbie, way better. Anyway, Lady Gaga, any of those. Anyway, I'm not hating on T Swift much. But anyway, thank you guys for joining us. Ben, let them know where they can find you.
You can find me at benduncomics.com on Facebook and Twitter and most social media sites. You can find me. I'm pretty easy to find.
Awesome. Thank you guys. We appreciate you. See you next time. Thanks. Bye.